Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Very glad you're here. Very good to be back. And yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome to this comfy, quiet, cozy little corner of the internet where we do a little drinking and a little thinking. So come join me if you will. And hopefully we'll learn something today that we didn't know yesterday. Bring what you got, of course, whatever it may be. I brought the old Earl Grey. Tried, true, trusty. Can't go wrong, so there you go. And I'm definitely gonna need it for today's story, today's article that I want to share with you, because it's a little infuriating. Just gonna say, but this Earl Grey is going to help me chillax, relax, keep the blood pressure level. You know what I mean. So anyway, but yeah, bring what you got, whatever it is, as long as you're having a good time, as long as it's tasty. You know the drill, right? Anyway, like I said, I wanted to share a quick article with you tonight. Let me pull it up here. This article comes to us via thedailybreeze.com, and the title of which reads Sacramento's Pricey Capital Annex Project. This one's in the opinion section, just being honest, just want to throw it out there. But a lot of opinions are based in fact, and I feel that's very true for this article, so I hope you take it with a little bit more than a grain of salt. Give it a fair chance, fair shot. And I will link it below if you want to check it out and read it for yourself. Or you can stick around and listen to the sound of my soothing and relaxing voice as I read it to you. Alright, Sacramento's pricey Capital Annex project, and it goes a little something like this. It's a safe bet many Californians would love to update their homes or businesses if they could. New windows, a new roof, perhaps new furniture and equipment are needed, but the inflationary cost of goods, coupled with the financial strain many are experiencing due to California's COVID restrictions, have put desired upgrades out of reach. Except, of course, for our legislature, who have no qualms about spending more than $1 billion in taxpayer dollars to build themselves a new office space. You read that correctly. More than $1 billion in taxpayer dollars is slated for a new office building for state politicians, all while the people who paid those tax dollars struggle to make ends meet. It's no wonder that, according to a recent poll, 76% of voters, including majorities of Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, reject the legislature's over-the-top and unnecessary building project. The lawmakers' billion-dollar boondoggle was born out of the need to upgrade the historic Capitol Annex, the legislative office building added to the state's capital in the 1950s. Maintenance of the annex was largely ignored by the state over the years, leaving it long overdue for health and safety improvements, the cost of which is pegged at around $500 million. But rather than rehabilitate the annex, the legislature is bulldozing ahead with a demolish and rebuild plan to erect swanky new digs fit for a tech titan. Their plan includes soaring exterior glass walls, as well as a 200-space underground parking garage, for their sole use, that will require up to 100 rare and historic trees in Capitol Park to be uprooted, and a new visitor center that will excavate the iconic West Steps. So much for the environment. The price tag of the legislature's princely quarters stood at $543 million in 2017, but has since ballooned to more than $1.2 billion, even before the wrecking ball has been dispatched. With the state's track record of historic cost overruns on taxpayer-funded projects, see high-speed rail, it's anyone's guess what the financial cost to taxpayers will be if the project is not halted. Adding insult to injury, a $450 million, quote, swing space office building was erected across the street from the Capitol to house the legislature and their staff while the annex is being demolished and their ode to excess is being built. Adding the cost of the, quote, swing building to the annex project puts taxpayers on the hook for nearly $2 billion thus far. In a move indicating they knew their plan would be unpopular, decision-making around the annex plan was done behind closed doors. The legislature even kept details of their plan from the Historic State Capitol Commission, a body created by the legislature in 1976 to ensure that the historical and architectural integrity of the Capitol was preserved. As a result of the legislature's lack of transparency and consensus seeking, 2 commissioners resigned in protest. Turns out, voters shared the commissioners' outrage, with nearly 70% of those polled saying they oppose the lack of transparency around the project. A coalition of taxpayers, preservationists, environmentalists, and small businesses are calling on state leadership to halt demolition of the annex and open the project to further review and input, and the majority of California voters agree. In a poll commissioned by the coalition, more than 60% say they would rather see the historic annex rehabilitated, saving taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. So far, the strong and broad voter opposition to the legislature's extravagant plan for the Capitol Annex has not deterred the project. With wrecking crews poised to descend upon the historic building, sadly, California taxpayers are about to be bulldozed as well. And there you have it. A project that was supposed to renovate existing offices at the cost of around $500 million suddenly balloons into brand new offices and $1.2 billion. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, politicians, they love spending money on themselves. And either party, don't get me wrong, this is both parties. Democrats and Republicans, whatever, you know, they're on team them, right? Politicians are on team politicians. And that's the truth. You know, they live in ivory towers that practically touch space. They're so tall. And, I mean, they don't care. They don't live in the same world that you or I do, right? If you disagree with me, I encourage you to just think about it for a second, all right? Like, when was the last time you saw a politician gassing up their car, or going to the local grocery store, or taking their car to get an oil change? You know, stuff that the rest of us normal people do, right? They don't do that. They have other people do that for them, or they have, you know, government cars, or, you know, sometimes they get special favors from people and they get to, you know, drive around these nice cars. It's a scam. It's a game, and they don't care. I'm probably going to say that a million more times, but they don't care. And, you know, they spend our money like it's their own. And this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, honestly, because we all know, right? Or you should know that you are the best caretaker of your money. And this is why taxation is not a good system for public good. I'm trying to think of a way to rephrase that, but taxes are bad. I mean, to simplify it, the reason taxation does not work the way everybody intends it to work is, simply put, because of people like this, right? Greedy people see that giant pile, the large pot of money, and they want it. They want it for themselves. So, you know, it's almost one of those things like, what do you expect? You know, you think noble and good people are just going to run for office and you know, everything's going to be hunky-dory? $1.2 billion, people, for brand new offices for themselves, okay? That's just going to attract bad people. It does, it has, it will, and it forever, right? That's just how it works. And I know, especially people on the left, you want to say taxation is wonderful, it can help the homeless, send the drug addicts to rehab, health care, help the poor. By the way, I want to encourage you, you know, President, I think it was Johnson, declared a war on poverty. I've never seen more poverty in my life as I do now. And I will see more poor people tomorrow than I did today, okay? And what happened? You know, the government declared war on poverty. There's poverty everywhere now. People on welfare, things are expensive, homeless everywhere. Yeah, so it doesn't work, right? I mean, the results speak for themselves, guys. You know, the large taxation we've set up, the system, it just attracts bad people who just want the money for themselves. And it's not like this is a big secret. I mean, people on both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican, I talk to everybody. Everybody says the corruption in government is awful. Well, how does the corruption happen? Easy. Money. So, yeah, We need to really fix the tax system, preferably by going back to the way it used to be prior to 1913 when we instituted the income tax. And I know that freaks a lot of people out. Oh no, can't get rid of the income tax. But look, before the income tax was instituted, we had a navy, we had an army, we had public infrastructure. America was just fine before the Federal Reserve and the income tax showed up. So there's historical precedent for it. It's not like this is out of the blue. I'm coming at you from way left field, practically in outer space, conspiracy, anarchy ideas. No, like this is just how America used to be. There was no income tax. They had a import export kind of tax, tariffs, and it was fine. Everything was fine. So all I'm saying is maybe we should go back to that. But even if we did go back, let's not kid ourselves. Things wouldn't be perfect. There will always be corruption. I know I said money, right? But there's other ways too. Specifically, what comes to mind is power. Some people, they just like telling other people what to do. They love to lord over us, tell us what to do. They enjoy the status. They like to feel important. And obviously that can lead to bad things. So yeah, that kind of leads me to my next point. There's no consequences for these politicians. There's really not. Here, this Capital Annex project, right? Originally, $500 million, $1.2 billion. Well, what's the consequences, right? Who's going to get in trouble for this? Who's going to get fired? Who's going to get written up? Nobody. That's who. Nobody's going to get in trouble for this. Nobody's going to get recalled. Nothing's going to happen to them. And that is a big, big problem with our government, the way we have everything set up. These politicians can literally do anything. And I know I'm beating a dead horse, but Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, heck, even World War I, right? And Wilson said he'd keep us out of the war. Didn't keep us out of the war. The sinking of the Lusitania, they tried to, the Germans are just bombing these civilian liners for no reason, absolutely no reason. They're heartless, they're cold-blooded killers. And then, as it would turn out, the weapons manufacturers, the government, they were smuggling weapons and ammunition on these civilian liners, to get around sanctions and laws and rules of war and those little things, right? So, it just goes to show you, they'll do whatever they want. They'll do whatever they feel like because they feel like they're above us and rules are for normal people. That's really how they feel. So, what are we going to do about it, right? I've heard people throw out term limits, which sounds nice, but when you think about it, it's not actually a good idea because, when politicians get elected, they're green, they don't know what they're doing. So what happens? The staffers start to take over, right? The people who work in the offices, they work in the buildings, they start whispering in their ear saying, oh, you should do this or that, or this is how this works. And then the staffers end up in charge. So, honestly, term limits really aren't going to fix things because they're going to get in, serve a term or two, and then leave. And, are they really going to make a difference? Maybe, but, they're not going to have a lot of experience. And like I said, the staffers are probably just going to take over and get what they want. So, I really don't think term limits are the answer. What about laws? We can make more laws. Well, laws are good, sort of, but like I said, they need to have teeth. They need to have consequences. I don't think we need to have new laws. Honestly, I think we need to go back to the old laws and just make them have teeth, right? If you do this, you will go to jail, right? Like the Second Amendment, right? We have the right to bear arms. Well, what happens if they just ignore that? What happens if some congressman comes up and says, yeah, we're going to get rid of the Second Amendment, or we're going to make a law that just says all guns are banned, Well, what's going to happen to that guy? Something should happen to that guy. Or the First Amendment. What happens if some congressman puts forth a bill that says we don't have the right to freedom of speech anymore? Something should happen to that congressman. Jail time, a massive fine, And when I say fine, I don't mean like a set dollar amount. I think it should be a percentage of their income, like half your yearly salary or something. Honestly, for constitutional stuff, like if a congressman gets up there and tries to get away with doing away with the Second Amendment or the First Amendment, you should lose like 100% of a yearly. You should be fined a year's income, right? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe more. Like you should get wrecked. All right, financially, physically. I'd be even willing to go like if you put forth a bill that's doing away with freedom of speech or the right to a fair trial or arms or whatever, like you should lose your seat instantly. Like the minute that bill hits the floor, like you're done. You're recalled, you're done, you go back to your state, and you can never run for office again. Like I could get down with a law like that. That would be amazing. And that's the kind of stuff that I'd like to see. I think we need stuff like that. Where if you like just attempting to limit our rights should just finish you. You should be done, right? Another couple ideas. I think I've thrown this out before, but jail time, right? Hey, I think, you do this stuff, you're a criminal, right? If you put your name on a piece of paper that says, hey, because think about it, you're a steward. You're in charge of taxpayer money. These things should have consequences. So if you fill out a form that says, hey, we approve $500 million for a project, and then it balloons to $1.2 billion, and you sign off on it, like, I'm sorry. You need to go to jail or, I don't know, lose your seat, something. Have a night in the stocks, right? Stockades. I think we should bring those back, to be honest. That would solve a lot of problems, right? Put them in the town square, lock them up, leave them there all night, throw tomatoes at them. Or her, right? Hey, gender equality, right? I mean, I'd throw tomatoes at a female politician, right? I believe in gender equality. But no, like I said, I don't want to ramble on too long, but there needs to be some kind of consequences for these people's behavior, or they're just going to keep doing it. So let me know what you think. What should the consequences be? What should they look like? What do you want to see? Should they be harsh? Kind of like my idea. I think they should be harsh. I think they should be extreme because you are a public figure in a position of authority. This isn't like, you burnt the fish in the oven, or you dropped the glass and it broke and you spilled milk everywhere. Like, these consequences are far reaching. These are potentially nation destroying consequences. So the punishments should be equally severe to that, right? Because you're in charge. What you do as a politician affects me, it affects my neighbor, it affects everyone here. So naturally, the consequences should reflect that. Anyway, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but basically I'm trying to make a case of why I think these punishments should be very extreme for politicians. But maybe you disagree, I don't know. Feel free to do so. Like I said, leave me a comment, let me know, how would you stop these politicians? What would you do to make them just stop being so ridiculous, wasting our money, and just generally being awful people?
That was quite something.
Whew. All right. Well, that was a rant. So I will leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful night, wonderful week, wonderful weekend, and all that good stuff. I wish the best for you. I really do. So yeah, if things aren't going so well, I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers. Please reach out. Try not to do it alone. It sucks. Trust me. If you're doing great, things are awesome. Awesome. Great. I'm happy for you. But like I've said before, try to remember the little people on your way, on your way up or whatever. It's good. We're in this together. We should all help each other out. And that's how we move forward as a society, right? We, build bonds and strengthen each other and help each other out. And, we'll all be better off for it. I really believe that. So anyway, I think that's about it. So I will dismount the soapbox now. So take care, everyone. Good night.